Hello, IS 515 student. Welcome to week 3 of your Excel class in the winter semester. Hope everyone is doing well, staying healthy, staying safe, and staying warm. There are 3 main things I want to do in this video. The first and second are normal. First being talk about what's coming due, the next things you have to worry about in this class. Second thing is a thought of things that count, an inspirational kind of uplifting thought. And then the third thing, I'm going to, at the end of this video, explain a little bit more about the mod function in Excel and how that works. There's a specific nuance with negatives that I want to explain kind of the functionality a little bit more. The videos pre-recorded and what we covered in class showed you how to use mod when it comes to subtracting times, like 5 p.m., 8 p.m., that kind of time. But it doesn't really explain the logic of why that function works. It just how to use it, which is sufficient for your exam and your homework. But if you're like me and you want to know, well, why, kind of like one of those old church videos where the kid's asking, but why? I'm kind of like that. So if you want to know why, stick around. Otherwise, you can tune out after the spiritual thought and we will just move on from there. So what's coming due? That was the previous week. This week you have debugging homework due tonight. I'm recording this on a Monday morning. So it's due tonight. Don't forget to do that by midnight. And then your dates and times will be due on Wednesday. So that's where mod might come in handy. So if you've already done it and you did fine, that's great. But if you want to know more about the mod function, or if you haven't done it and you think that might help, definitely listen at the end of this video. And I hope to help with that explanation a little bit more, with that understanding. Today in class, we're covering charts, and then next class, so on Wednesday, we're covering conditional formatting and data validation. Those homeworks will be due a week after we cover them in class, just like normal. Now that we're past the first 2 in the holiday, the due dates are going to be totally normal, like what it says in the syllabus. Which is a bummer for you guys, I know, but we can't just keep delaying everything. So keep that in mind. Don't forget to do those homeworks and submit them before they are due. On to the spiritual thought. On Sunday, yesterday, the Orem temple dedication happened. So the temple was dedicated. That's a cool experience for anyone that's ever been able to go to one. And Elder Kieran of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, he replaced M. Russell Ballard, who passed away. And Elder Kieran, shared a story about a family in France. I think they lived in Germany or somewhere, but they were visiting France. They're at the Eiffel Tower. And their 6-year-old son, we'll call him Tiny Tim, because Christmas just happened, and I think that's fun. Tiny Tim was nowhere to be seen after, let me back up. They were at the Eiffel Tower. They went across the big bridge. They're, going to the rest of Paris, and they realized, oh, we don't have our 6-year-old son, Tiny Tim. Where could he be? And they started to panic, as parents would do. They decided that the mom, the wife, would stay with the other kids on that side, and the dad would retrace the steps going back to the Eiffel Tower to see if he could find the son. And as he arrives kind of at the base of the big tower, the Eiffel Tower, he sees this lady standing there with a sign that says, Tim found, lives near the temple with the Paris police, or something like that. So this communicated to the father, okay, he's with the police, he was found, and little Tim, 6 years old, didn't know his address, didn't know the phone number, didn't know any of those things, but he could tell this lady, I live near the temple. And that was enough of an identifying thing for the father to know that that was his son and that his son was going to be okay. So Elder Kieran talked about that story as something important, keeping the temple at the forefront. It unites families. It helped this family get back together in this life, but temples help families be united for forever. So he kind of took the temple approach of that. But as I heard this story, I thought of 2 things that I could do better. One is, be willing to be that lady. Be willing to take time out of my life, out of my day, and be willing to stand under the Eiffel Tower while I'm supposed to be sightseeing, while I'm supposed to be seeing all of these cool attractions, and instead take the time to help somebody else who really needs it. And mind you, this woman didn't know if the dad would ever come back and see the sign. She didn't know if she was going to be helping someone. She just knew that if they came, they would want to see something like that to be able to give them that comfort. So the first thing is be kind and be willing to be kind to those around us, even if it's not convenient for us. The second thing is express gratitude when those around you are kind. Even if it's not kindness to you, if it's kindness to somebody else, be willing to express that gratitude to them and help them feel like what they're doing really does make a difference to them. This father, I'm sure, had an overwhelming sigh of relief in his heart, maybe physically, that this woman had told him, your son's okay. And if he didn't communicate that to that woman, who, again, didn't have to do what she did, then she might wonder, was it even worth it? So as we go throughout our lives, let's make sure we remember to express gratitude to those that are kind to us and that help us, so they know that they are doing good and they have that desire to continue. And I say that in the name of Jesus Christ, amen. So now on to the mod function in Excel. I have an example prepped. So if you feel good about mod, you can turn this off now. If you want to know a little bit more about it, stay tuned because we're going to go over it right now. In the simplest terms, what the mod function does is it says, give me a number and tell me the divisor, and I'll give you the remainder. So we'll give it 10, and 3 is the divisor. So 10 divided by 3 is 3.33, or 3 1/3. The remainder there, remember long division in grade school, long division would give you a remainder of 1. That's what you would then drag down, add a 0, put a decimal, blah, blah, blah in the long division stuff. So 10 divided by 3 has a remainder of 1 because it goes into 10, well, 3, 6, 9, okay, it goes in 3 times, and 9 from 10 is just the 1, that's my remainder. So hopefully that that simple division is making sense to you. This just explains a little more of how we get to that remainder. We drop the ones place and we're left with the 0.333. We multiply that by our divisor and we get 1. Alternatively, if that's too many words for you, you divide and get 3 1/3. So 1 is your remainder, meaning 1/3. If I did it by 11, or if I did 11 divided by 3, I'd have a remainder of 2 because it'd be 3 2/3. So hopefully that's making sense. The nuance is when we have negative numbers. So if we do mod negative 10 mod 3, or divided by 3, then we would get the actual answer is negative 3 1/3. So drop the 3, we get negative 1/3. Multiply by 3, we get negative 1. So our remainder in this division is negative 1. But the mod function in Excel always returns an answer that's the same sign as the divisor. So instead of multiplying by negative 1, which is what I would think you'd want to do, it decides to add the negative numbers to the divisor. So in this case, I would think my remainder would be negative 1. If I just multiply that by negative 1, I get 1, just like the top. I'm good to go. I'm happy on my way. But the way the mod function works in Excel is it forces that number to be the same sign, and instead of multiplying by negative 1, it's going to add the divisor to the answer. So my answer in math terms is negative 1. Negative 3 1/3, drop the 3, just the third. My remainder is negative 1. But then my divisor here is 3. See that here? My divisor is 3. So negative 1 plus 3 is 2. That's why I'm given this 2. That's a little bit weird to me, but it makes doing math with time a lot easier. So let me come down here and show you. 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. are 1700 and 2300 on the 20-hour clock, 24-hour clock. 20-hour clock would be really confusing. But in days, so I've converted this to the accounting or just a number. In days, it's 0.71 of the way through a day, meaning when it's 5 p.m., I am 71% of the way done with my day. By 11 p.m., I'm 96% of the way done. I'm almost done with the day. It's almost midnight, and that starts a new day. So, positive, if I were to just do the simple math on this, if I said 96 minus 71, that gives me the 25. I know I'm leaving off the decimals for talking points, but that's fine. I can convert that right here. I can convert that to 6 hours. A quarter of a day is 6 hours, because 6 times 4 is 24. Likewise, if I go the other way, if I do 71 minus 96, and now I'm kind of time traveling, I'm going backwards, it's negative 0.25 days. Or wait a second. I don't have something to say negative 6 hours. There's no such thing as negative time. So Excel doesn't know how to handle that. The workaround is to say, if I want to do 5 p.m. minus 11 p.m., I just need to assume that it was on the previous day. Because if I'm at 5 p.m. and I start time traveling back to 4 p.m., 3 p.m., 2 p.m., all the way back, the first time I hit 11 p.m., it's going to be on the previous day. So that difference is going to be an 18-hour difference. So what this is doing is it's saying, take that negative number, so basically this 0.71 minus this 0.96, mod 1, and it's going to yield a number that I then add the modifier to it. So it's going to give me my negative 0.25, and it's going to add 1 to it. Anytime you divide by 1, you get the same answer. So negative 0.25 divided by 1 gives me a remainder of negative 0.25, because the division by 1 doesn't really do anything. But then I have my negative 0.25, and I add 1 to it to get 0.75, which converts to that 18 hours. Said a little differently, if I look here, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., that's a 6-hour difference. I can just do the math right there, and boom, I'm good. Likewise, if I have a day attached, if I say on January 1st at 11 p.m. to January 2nd at 5 p.m., if I subtract those, so if I go January 2nd, 5 p.m., minus January 1st, 11 p.m., that will give me 18 hours. But if I do that same thing, 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. here, I'm given this error because I don't have a day associated with these two. This one, it does. So Excel knows, hey, this actually is some number in the front of the decimal, and this one some number in front of the decimal minus 1, because it's a different serial day. And we covered that in the days and times module, so hopefully you remember that. But without specifying a day, Excel doesn't know that you're talking about a previous day. So it thinks you're trying to do some crazy voodoo math, and that doesn't work because times can't be negative. So the workaround for that is to wrap it in the mod function, which will then, yield us a negative 0.25, mod by 1. So I divide it by 1, I'm still left with my negative 0.25, and now I have to add 1 to that negative 0.25 to give me 0.75, 75% of a day, or 18 hours out of the 24. So hopefully that walkthrough helps kind of make sense of that mod function. It's simple division up here. It has that weird nuance with adding the divisor. So then when you think, okay, well, if I'm dealing with times that don't have a day associated and I yield a negative, I want to just add 1 to it. So I know how many hours it was, because my negative 0.25 plus 1 will give me my 18-hour difference.